Hi, welcome to Pro Stitcher Designer Tips and Tricks. Today I want to show you how you can repeat a design on a path. But before I get showing you anything, I need to tell you two things. There are two basic things that you've got to remember and keep in your mind at all times. The first one is to repeat a design on a path only works when the design is artwork. So you've got to, as you pick a design, you've got to make sure it is converted to artwork. Then the second thing, that the artwork has to be the top item, the top design element in the sequence list. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And you'll see that over and over in this video as I show you how to put a design on a path. I'm coming over to the panels on the right side, and I want to select a Pro Stitcher Designer design, and I want the continuous line, and I want the apple leaves. So I'm left clicking on the design and dragging it over and releasing my finger. So now you remember the first thing I mentioned, that you can only have a design repeated on a path if the design is first converted to artwork. So I'm right clicking and I'm dragging down to convert to and over to artwork. Now the design that I want to put this around is a circle. So I'm clicking on artwork and I'm dragging down to ellipse. And remember, when you hold the control key down and then you create a design, especially the circle, it will be a perfect circle. Now one of the things that I want to do, because I know I played around with this and I know this is the size that I want, I'm clicking on it so that the circle is selected, and I'm coming over to the right side, and you see over here this is like the transform tool. I'm clicking on that, and I want to make sure that the circle is 15 inches. So I've highlighted the number, and on my keyboard I'm tapping in 15, and there I've got a 15-inch circle. Okay, now remember the second thing I mentioned, that to get a design on a path, that the artwork had to be the top thing in the list. And as I click on this, the plus sign, I get the drop down menu. So there's the circle and there's the artwork. So the artwork is at the very top of the list in the sequence pane. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to click, or I'm left clicking and dragging across both of them so they're both selected, and then I am coming up to the tool that says repeat on path, and I'm going to click on it, and then it will bring up this repeat on path window. Now I know that the circle is 15, so the division length needs to be something that can be divided into 15. And this is 5.31, which is too big. So now I am just going to tap 5 on the keyboard and then say OK. And then it works. And then it fits that design around the circle. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm tapping the space bar on my keyboard, and that brings the design front and center. But speaking of centers, what are we going to do in here? What do you think you want to do in here after you've made this design on a path? One of the fun things that you can do is put another design inside. So I am going to come over to the right side, and I'm going to click on the design option, and I am going to, let's see, I want a block, and I want the 6-petal flower. So I'm dragging it over there, and I can click on these boxes and enlarge it, or I can just come over here to the right side and click on this transform tool and enlarge it here. So I know that the circle that I made was 15 inches, but I've used part of that for the leaves that are going inside. Whoops. So I'm going to click on the transform tool. So let's see, I think I'm going to I've selected it, and now I'm going to make it 12 and see how that works. That looks a little bit too big, so maybe I will come and do a 11.5. And that still looks a little bit too big, and now I'm going to make it 11 inches, and I'm saying apply. Oh, that still looks pretty big. Anyway, so I'm just going to click on the corner and drag it down a little bit to make it a little bit smaller. And then you want to center it. So I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom out a little bit. I'm left clicking and I'm dragging over both of them so they're both selected. And then I'm right clicking and I'm dragging down to align, and then the option, the pop-out window, I am going to select center, and it's going to center both the flower and then the circle design together. Now, isn't that a fun design? I think that would be really fun to do on a block on a quilt. Well, I've got another one to show you. So I'm going to left click so they're both selected, and then I'm deleting. So the next design that I want, coming over to the right side to find the panels, find the designs in the panel on the right, I want one from Anita Shackelford. And I am going to choose this clamshell with leaves, dragging it over. Now remember, the first thing that you've got to remember is that for the design to be repeated on a path, it only works if the design is artwork. So I am right clicking and I'm dragging down to convert to an artwork. Now I'm going to make a circle. Coming up to the tools, I'm clicking on artwork, selecting ellipse. I'm holding the control key down on my keyboard to make a perfect circle. So I'm getting the select tool, and I'm coming over to the transform on the right side, and it's bigger than 15 inches. So, well, we can do 16. Let's just do an even 16. And now I am going to select both of them and come up to repeat on path. And one of the things that I want to mention now is this division length. So we know that it's 16, the circle is 16, so whatever number we have in here has to go evenly into 16. And well, I know 4 does, so let's just do 4 inches. And I'm going to say OK. And it repeats this cute little clamshell around the circle. Now there's something else I want to show you with the repeat on a path option. So I'm going to undo that, but they're still selected, and I'm coming to repeat on path, and I'm going to make it 4 inches again. And now I am going to say reflect, and then I'm clicking on OK. So this time it's on the inside of the circle. There's still something else I want to show you, so I'm going to undo that. I'm coming back over to the repeat on path, and I'm going to make sure it's 4 inches, and then the reflect every other one. So that means that this clamshell design is going to be, every other one is going to be reflected, so it's going to be opposite. So that gives you this fun little design around this circle. Now, what will you put inside this circle? Well, first of all, I'm going to undo that because I want to pick something. I don't want to use that reflect for the center. Okay, so now I just have the design on the path, and for the center, I am going to back to Anita Shackelford, and I'm selecting her feather wreath, and I'm just left clicking and dragging it in, and I'm coming to the right side, and I'm clicking on the transform tool. Now we know that the circle is 16 inches, so I'm selecting the width, and I'm typing in 16 on my keyboard, and then I'm saying apply. And then we need to make sure that they're both centered so it looks nice together. So I've selected both of them. I'm right clicking and I'm dragging down to align and then over to center. And there you've got this pretty wreath inside this circle that has the clamshells. Okay, I'm going to show you something else. So I'm going to select all of those. Oh wait, I'm going to show you something else. I want to come over to the sequence pane, and you see how we've got this group? That's the flower wreath, and I right clicked and I'm going to delete it. And there's the circle, and there's the clamshell that's repeated. So I'm going to delete that, right click and drag down to delete. Okay, so the design that I want to do next, let's see, let's go to Susan Manry. She's got some fun things I want to do, or some fun things I want to do with them. So she's got some fun piano keys. And I'm going to start with this wavy piano key. Now remember, you've got to, the element, design element, has to be artwork. So I'm right clicking and I'm dragging down to convert to and over to artwork. And then I am going to select both of them. Oh, now look, up here the repeat on path is grayed out, but that's the second thing I mentioned. This element, the design element, has to be on the top of the list in the sequence pane. So I'm clicking on the sequence option, and you'll notice that the circle is on top. That is why the repeat on path was grayed out. So I'm clicking on the design element, and I am right clicking, and then I'm dragging up to order. Now, I don't know if you've seen my video that talks about order. If you haven't, that's a great one to help you understand. If you select to back, that will mean that whatever you've selected and sent to back will go all the way to the top of the list. So regardless of how many things you have listed in the sequence pane, if you select to, I'm right clicking, and I'm going to show you that again, and to order, if you go to back, that will make that design element go to the very top of the list. Okay, now let's see if we can do that repeat on the path. I'm selecting both of them, and there it's not grayed out. And I'm clicking on that, and the circle is 16, and this is 2. Let 2.45. Let's just go ahead and say okay. Oh, isn't that just fun? So now you've got this fun design that you can put something else fun on the inside. Well, what I want to do is I am going to come over to my sequence pane, and I am going to delete that one. I right clicked on it and I went to delete. Oh, looks like I deleted everything. That's okay. So I want to come over to the designs, and I want to use another piano key by Susan Manry. So I left clicked on it, holding my finger down, and I'm dragging it over. Now remember, the first thing you have to do with the design is change it to artwork, because if it isn't artwork, you can't do the design on a path. So I'm right clicking, dragging down to convert to, and over to artwork. Now I need to make a circle, so I'm clicking on artwork, dragging down to ellipse. I'm holding the control key on my keyboard so that I can get a perfect circle, and then I am coming to my select tool so that the circle is selected, and now I'm coming over to the transform tool on the left side, and I click on that. Holy cow, that said my circle is 29 inches. Let's just make that 15 again. So I typed in 15 and I'm saying apply. And I am going to select both of them, and I'm doing the repeat on path. Now this 6 doesn't go into 15, but 5 does. So let's do 5, and I hit enter. Isn't that just kind of a fun design? Well, what are you going to put in there? What do you think would look good in there? So as I've thought about it, there is a design that Pro Stitcher has that is, let's see, I think it's a Pro Stitcher. So I'm coming over to the designs, and this time it is a block. So I'm choosing block, and I'm coming down to the raise. There's raise, and I want raise 5, and I'm left clicking and dragging it over. I'm just going to click on the corner and drag it so it's a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to click or select both of them, right click, drag down to a line, and then to center, and that would center both of them. Now you'll notice that you still see the circle. If you don't want that to stitch out, you can come over to the stitch out, over to the sequence panel, and right click on that and drag down and say delete. And then you would just have this fun, I don't know, Aztec-y design around the ray design, and you wouldn't have the line, the circle. But if you wanted that, that's just fine. Okay, this last thing that I'm going to show you is so fun. So I'm selecting all of them, and I'm saying delete. And I'm coming over to the designs, and I want to come down to Deb Geisler, and she has a fun gingerbread boy and a gingerbread girl that's hooked together. Left clicking and holding and dragging it over. So now I want to get my shape tool, and I'm using my scroll on my mouse to zoom in, and I'm just going to move it down just a smidgen so that you can see. Well, let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's see, and I'm moving it down just a little bit more. Okay, so I only want one of them, so I'm just going to use the gingerbread boy. So I am left clicking on that point, and I'm saying split line. I'm hitting the space bar on my keyboard to zoom out so I can see the design. I'm coming to the right side, and I'm choosing the sequence panel, and then one of the other things that we need to do, we need to ungroup them. So I'm selecting them, I'm right clicking, and I'm dragging down to ungroup, because I want to get rid of the little girl and the heart. So I'm right clicking and I'm dragging up to delete. So now I have just this little gingerbread boy. Now I am going to copy it, so I can hold the control key and tap the C key on my keyboard, or I can just come up here and copy. And you'll see why I'm going to do that in just a minute, or why I wanted that. So you'll see that in just a minute. I'm using the mouse, the scroll on my mouse, so I'm zooming out a little bit. And now I'm going to make the circle. I'm clicking on artwork, and I'm holding the control key down on my keyboard. Oops, I need to select the ellipse, holding the control key down and making a circle. Now I'm going to select it. I'm going to come over to the right side, and I'm clicking on the transform tool, and this, I made it 15.15 inches, so I just want it exactly 15 inches. So there we go, and I'm applying that. Okay, now I'm coming. Remember, what's the first thing you have to do for the design? You have to make sure that the design is artwork. So right click on it and drag down to convert to artwork. And then you need to make sure, the second thing that you need to make sure is that your design is on top in the sequence panel, and it is. So the bottom one is the circle as you mouse over, and the top one is the little gingerbread boy. So now I'm selecting both of them, and I'm coming to repeat on path, and this is 9.95 inches. That doesn't go into 15 very well, but remember 5 does. So we're clicking and making it 5 and saying okay, and it makes the gingerbread boy repeat on the circle. Now what can you put inside that circle? Well, remember that I had copied the gingerbread boy, so now I am going to say paste, and there I've got the gingerbread boy, the design that I can put on in the center. But we need to resize it because I don't think it's 9.95 inches, so I am not quite sure how much room I have on the inside. So I'm left clicking and I'm dragging it over, and I'm just going to take one of the points in the corner, holding down on the left finger, left clicking and holding down to resize it, and see, so that's pretty good. And then I am going to select both of them, and I am right clicking and I'm going to align and down to center, so that you've got the gingerbread boy in the circle of the gingerbread boys. Now I know it's not Christmas, but this is kind of a fun thing to know that you can do with the gingerbread boys. So think about it for a minute. If you've got like pumpkins, a pumpkin decoration for Halloween, you can put pumpkins around in the circle and a pumpkin on the inside. Maybe if you've got little bunny rabbits, you could do that for Easter and put a bunny rabbit. So whatever the holiday is, you can take a design and put it on a path in the circle, and then put one of the designs inside, and you've got a fun design that you can quilt out on your quilt. Well, thanks so much for watching Pro Stitcher Designer Tips and Tricks.